Good evening. It's video 2 of 5, state machines. The first 3 videos in this unit are going to help you make your self-portrait project, and then the next video is going to help you do the audio in, and then after that there's one more video that's going to talk about for loops and making patterns. I made a few changes to the canvas, so you are already familiar with Unit 1, but let's look at Unit 2. So Unit 2, what I've started doing here, instead of, and the class notes are different too, I started just saying video 1 of 2. It's not gonna be day 1 or day 2 anymore, because we don't know what days you guys are doing these on. You can do 2 in one day, it doesn't matter. So they'll be called video 1 of 5, video 2 of 5, etc. The other change that I made is that the quizzes are going to say Unit 2, Video 1. So this quiz will be on Video 1, and then there will be a quiz for this video. Now let's take a look at the self-portrait in media, and let me show you what I did for it. This is your first project, so I'll show you. I accomplished it. It took me a few hours to do it, and I don't have any previous student work to show you because this is a brand new assignment that I'm doing this year. I think it's better than the last couple of assignments that I do for Unit 2. When I click here, this should be a representation of your 3 worlds. So there's 3 states. So right now we only know how to make a picture or 2 pictures or 3 pictures, whatever, right, on something, but we don't really know how to make it change and do something completely different, right? So we're going to learn that today. But this is my first state with some text underneath it that means something to me. And then this is my second, and you can see there's an animated thing going across. Here's my second state with a picture of something that means something to me, and it's got some text that's moving, and I'll show you how to do that in the next video also. But you see I've got a couple of different, I've got text, big text, and then I've got a little bit of text down there. And then when I click again, this is my third state. I like to make bread. So this is a picture of bread that I made. I made this picture. It came from my phone, and I had to resize it because it was 3,000 pixels wide. And then when I click again, I'm back to the first state. As you click, it keeps changing, and there's a song playing. You can't hear it because it's not playing. I've got it muted, so it's not interrupting my voice. But there's a song in every state, also a song that I care about. Let's look at the assignment just to make sure that you get everything that is needed to get done here. It's 30 points, and you're submitting a text box entry or a website URL. You'll create a 3-state interactive media self-portrait like you just saw, and it's videos 1 through 3 that's going to 1 through 4 that's going to show you. I may have to change that because I think it might just be videos 1 through 3. Here's what's required. Each of the 3 states must have at least one image that you created in some text in a non-default font. So remember how we uploaded fonts? You need to have at least 3 different fonts showing some crazy different words for you. And then each state has to have a song. And there must be 2 animations. So you saw one animation could be words going across the screen in one screen, and another animation could be something going across the screen in another screen. You don't have to have an animation on every sheet, but it's fun. The second thing that you have to have, and these have to be animations that I'm going to show you how to do in the next video. They can't be animated GIFs. I won't give points for that. The second thing that you have to do is code. You have to tell me when your code freeze was. This is another professional practice. A code freeze is a day that you have decided you're going to stop. You absolutely have to stop programming that day, and you're done with the project and you're going to turn it in. That's your code freeze. So that day and that hour. So maybe you're going to say, let's see, I'm recording this on Friday, December 19th. Maybe I'm going to work on this, but I'm going to tell myself, but on December 22nd at 5 p.m., I'm done with this. I'm finished with this project and I'm turning it in. That's my code freeze. So you have to decide beforehand. This is like a intention thing, right? You have to set an intention that you're going to be done at this point, and then let me know if you made it or not. Like if you didn't meet it, that's fine. You can be like, oh yeah, I was going to, but then I decided there's something so cool I just learned that I wanted to add it in. So, or I totally made my code freeze. In fact, I finished an hour before and I just stopped. A lot of times in my classes, we talk about perfectionism. You might be a perfectionist. And we have a new word. Instead of perfectionism, we have prototyping. This is a practice where you don't wait and worry about being perfect. You think you you sort of decide that what you're making is a prototype, and then you might change it later. So that's what you should think about that maybe. No points will be taken off if you don't meet your code freeze either. Just I just want you to be aware of whether or not you made it. You know, maybe you thought you were going to be done with it. You didn't give yourself enough time to. That's something you should know if whether or not you're the type of person who doesn't give yourself enough time to get stuff done. I know a lot of people like that. Your rubric here, 6 points for 3 states that click as you click through them. If you watch this video, you're going to know how to do that. 3 student created images. So if you're a drawer, it can be a drawing that you made too. You can be like, I draw stuff, and here's like a whole bunch of images that I drew. You can also use a movie. I think I'm not gonna upload a movie, but a movie works the same as it uses the same command. So you can look that up if you want. 3 non-default fonts. That means that you download a font. You don't just use the default font that's already inside. I want you to upload fonts. And 3 songs loaded and used in the project. And you can use the royalty-free music if you want. Actually, notice that there's songs you can choose them by the duration. You can say I only want songs that are between 0 and 30 seconds. So that that should help you a lot. At least 2 animations somewhere in the program that gives you 4 points, and then code freeze. You include the date and time of your code freeze and write about whether or not you finished before then, and you will not get points off if you didn't finish before your code freeze. Let's get to work. Before we start coding, you should have 3 songs, fonts, and images in a folder on your desktop. And then the goal for this video, after you finish watching this video or while you're watching the video, is to have this whole thing working without the animations, but with the clicking on the different states. You should have the whole thing working. We'll name it portrait. You'll almost be ready to turn it in. You'll just need animations. And then tomorrow's video, we're going to learn animation. State machines. What's a state machine? A state machine is any device storing the status of something at a given time. I learned about this when I was learning coding. A video game is a state machine, right? Before you start playing, you may be on a menu screen that shows you how to do something, and then you may click, and then the game starts, and then maybe you ran out of time, so that leads to a different state, or you pause the game. So you can see this is a representation down here. The game is running, the player clicks pause, it goes to the pause. Maybe the player dies, it goes to the game over state. So you know, like a game over state looks different on the screen than the running of the game usually. Maybe not, who knows. And another example of a state machine, like the classic example of a state machine that I give in class, is a washing machine, right? So the washing machine's just sitting there empty. You throw your clothes in it, and then what happens? Maybe if it's a coin-operated washing machine, you put the coins in, or you start it, and then what happens? It's in the start state, and what happens? This like fills up with water, right? It's filling up with water, and then what makes it stop? There's a sensor at the top or wherever, right? There's a sensor that tells it when there's enough water in it, and then it goes to the next state, which is the agitation state, right? You can do this with your body if you want to move a little bit. I always make my students do this in the class. And then it does this for a while, right? What makes it stop this? A timer. When the timer runs out, it stops, and then it goes to the next state, which is a water draining out state, and then it fills up again. So another great example of a state machine is a washing machine. So how do we do this in code? How do we make it? All the time we've had code that just runs from the top to the bottom and then loops around again, right? Top to the bottom, loops around again. We need something that branches, that decides, wait a minute, and we've already kind of had like an if statement, like if something happens, do this little code, but if it doesn't, do this code. You've already experienced that. Here's something new. This is maybe new to you, maybe not new to you. It's called a switch statement. And so you've got the word switch, and then you've got a variable called state. And if its state can be 0 or 1 or 2. So then it looks like this. In case it's 0, we're going to write text 0. In case it's that variable is 1, we're going to do this. And in case it's 2, we're going to do this. And then you can have a whole bunch of code here. So like in case 0, when I run my program, look at this. This is actually case 0 here. I'll show you the code. You see it? there's my switch state, and then in case 0, I've got the song playing stuff, and I've got this image. This is I1, and then I've got a bunch of fills and stuff like that. So it's kind of scary, but we're going to program this. And then there's case 2. When I click, it's going to go to case 2. It's a different picture. It's only going to run this code in case 2. And then in case if that variable is 3, oh, actually no, I got case 0, 1, and 2. So depending on what case I'm in, it's going to run different code. Isn't that exciting? I think it's exciting. So again, here's sample code for a switch statement. We may write this. So case 0. So actually take a look at this. It's got the word switch, and then in parentheses it's got state, and then there's a beginning and ending curly bracket for the whole thing. So that's going to be extra. So if this is inside of a function draw, there's going to be another one that ends the function draw too. Remember, every time you have a left curly bracket, there's got to be a right curly bracket, friend. So we'll write this together. Case 0, we have a white background. Case 1, we have a gray background. In case 2, we have a pink background. Let's do that code all together. Code along with me. Open up an editor. And you know what? We're ready to almost turn this in. So let's call it portrait. And let's start coding. I know that I need that variable for the case statement. So I'm going to do let state equals 0. Then inside here, inside the draw loop, inside the draw function, I've got a gray background here, and I'm just going to ignore it for right now. Switch state. And then I need a beginning and ending curly bracket. So you see, make sure that like this is the end of the draw. I can't put I can't like put this one here either. Like it's going to be messed up, right? It's got to like I always do this, like there may be beginning and ending curly brackets, and then there are little ones that are embedded inside, and then other ones that are embedded inside, and they have to match, and that's one of the hardest things to remember when you're coding. So in case our state is 0, which it is right now, and then every case actually needs this break statement at the bottom of it. So I'm going to write case 0, and then this is a colon. A good percentage of the class gets that mixed up. The rest of these are semicolons. So colon is on top of the semicolon. Break, case 2, break. And you guys see, sometimes I don't know why I do it. Sometimes I have a space and other times I don't. It's really strange to me. I'm going to do tidy code. So let's have a different color background for right now, depending on what case we're in. So we'll just do background red, because why not? And then in this one, I'm going to click 3 times here, copy it, and paste it, and then paste again. So I have different backgrounds. Maybe this will be a blue one, and this will be a green one. Now my code really got messed up. All right, what's going to happen when I press start? Why? Why is it only running this background color? Because my state is 0, that variable is 0, and so it's 0 here. So is it case 0? Oh, it is 0. It makes a background red, and then this break, what this break does is it drops it out of the case statement. So it looks for the case statement's right curly bracket, and then it goes to whatever codes here. I could have whatever I wanted here. I can have a print command. I can have lots more stuff here. And this will happen all the time. But right here, this is kind of like a branch. It's going to do this or this or this. And you can even have a default in the branch too. And you see these statements in all different languages. So how can I get it so that it does different things? And remember, after this, you guys are going to have an image. Here, you're going to have your image 1, I1, 0, 0. I'm gonna comment that out right now. But you're gonna have images, you're gonna have text, you're gonna have songs and all that stuff here. But for right now, how can I get it to click through the states? Do you remember what the command is to get something to happen when you click on the mouse? There's 2 different ways that we learned. We learned if mouse is pressed, and we learned a function called mouse released. We're going to use the function. because I'm a flight simulator programmer uh, and I have superstition. So we're going to use mouse released. So let's write that together. All the way at the bottom of the code. Look at how I have all this space. I guess I don't need all that space. This is the ending curly bracket to the draw loop. Very important that you notice. You see how there's a box around that one? It's telling me which one that's the ending to. All the way at the bottom of your code, not inside another function, like not in here. Don't write function in here. Okay, go down all the way to the bottom and make a new function called mouse released and spell it exactly right. Capital R, mouse released. And here we're going to, so this is only going to happen when somebody clicks the mouse. And I want to run this code when somebody clicks the mouse, and then I want to run this code when somebody clicks the mouse, and when they click again, I want to run that code. So if state is 1, I'll run that code, and if it's 2, I'll run that code. So, okay, cut to the chase. State equals state plus 1. That way, every time they click the mouse, the next time it'll be 1, the next time it'll be 2, and unfortunately the next time it'll be 3, so we'll have to do something about that. Let's try it. Try it now. Click, click, hey, and now it's off. Now it's in case 3, which there isn't any in case 4. So we have to add one more thing here. We have to add if state is greater than, what do I have? What, 2? 2 is the last one, because it's going to be 0, then it's going to be 1, and then it's going to be 2. We keep adding 1 to it every time we click the mouse, right? At some point it's going to be greater than 2, and there's no case 3. So I'm going to have if state is greater than 2, I want to do something. I want to do state equals 0. I'm going to reset it. Run that. You should be able to keep clicking through all your cases. Yay. So save it, and that is your skeleton code for your portrait program. Now we need to start filling stuff in. We don't just want the different color backgrounds, right? We want to have pictures. Take a look at my cool portrait folder. I'm like the least organized person on the planet, but I've got this portrait folder and I've got everything separated into different folders. So I've got images, and I've got my fonts, and I've got my songs right here, and I've got lots of extra ones. I don't need all these. I'm going to use those, and you notice that some of them have got really dumb names. Look at all that, right? I'm totally gonna fix that when I upload them into my portrait. If you want, this portrait program that we just built, what you could do is you could save it and duplicate it if you wanted, because right there, right what you have right here is just like the skeleton of a state machine. You may want to keep it. To get all of these images, the 3 images, the 3 fonts, and the 3 songs into your program, what you're going to do is, again, click on that magical greater than sign, click. And there's my sketch files. And then I'm going to upload file. And I've got to upload all these different files. So you can drag files in there if you want, but that doesn't always work. Let's talk about what fonts look like. You remember I downloaded this one, or I downloaded this one in the last video. Some fonts are .ttf and other fonts are .otf. And I got 4 of them. So look at this one. There's like a whole bunch of stuff. So don't, like this says JPEG here, that's not the font. It's only the .ttf or the .otf. So always look for that. I'll upload that one. Let me see if I can drag. You guys will see. I've noticed that sometimes you can drag stuff and other times you can't. Okay. Also, look at how that's just sitting there. That's really worrisome to me. It looks like it may not have worked. So Fugaz 1, that one looks okay. You drag that one in there. That one got a check mark. Oh, okay, that's how they look, I guess. Arrow Soldier. Let's see with that. So there's a whole bunch of OTFs, and I want just the normal personal basic symbol, drip symbol, spray symbol. I probably don't want one that says symbol on it. I probably just want basic, so I'll put that one in. So there's my 3 fonts. Maybe I'll put this one in for good measure. Again, the font is an OTF file. It's not any of these. It's either TTF or OTF. Well, fresh. Okay, I'm looking good. My images, I'm going to put all my images in there. And my songs, I'll just put a couple of songs in there. I think I had punk rock, mysterious African music, and what was going to be the bread. We'll just use Travel Groove. No, we'll use YouTube intro music. No, this is bread music right there. Oh, see that? Look at, oh, you cannot upload any more files. So, all right, which ones didn't work? The MP3s didn't work. And look over here. That looks good. All those are uploaded, but I'm not going to panic. I'm just going to try it again because you get what you pay for. And we're not paying a lot for this program. So I'm just going to try uploading again. So the 3 songs, mysterious African music, punk rock music, I'll do them one at a time. See, it's letting me now. Upload again. And I talked about this in the other video too, but you can create folders if you want, but then you're going to have to name these things differently. Now, I renamed all of these files in the other video. The reason I renamed them is because you are going to have to copy this whole thing when you do when you load in your stuff, right? You're going to have to copy that whole name. And if you spell it wrong at all, it's not going to work. And I promise you, any mistake you make, 99% of the mistakes you make, if your program doesn't work, 95% is that you spelled something wrong. Especially, look at some images have a PNG ending and others have a JPEG. Do I have a JPEG in here? Maybe none of mine are JPEGs. Most of mine are PNGs here, it looks like. Also the OTF and TTF, and then songs are sometimes different too. Everything's got to be named exactly the same way in that load command. So that's why I renamed all of mine, because I just see people, it's very hard to type. Very hard to type the names in. So I'm going to pause the video while I rename all of these. You guys will see. Like for this one right here, I'll do one of them for you. I'm going to rename this to Arrow. And it's case sensitive, so I'm going to have to remember to capitalize that later. Ooh. How do I get back to my sketch? I've got to click on that. There it is, sketch. Okay. So this is pretty good. You know, now that I've uploaded all this stuff, I'm actually going to rerun the program because it should still work. I haven't changed anything, but I've put all this stuff in. Uh-oh, look at this. Okay. So code along with me again. We're going to need a variable for everything that we load in. So we're going to have 3 songs. You can call them whatever you want, but I'm calling them S1, S2, S3 so I don't have to worry about misspelling song. I'm going to have image 1, image 2, image 3. Those are my background images. And I have a cartwheel image, so I'm going to call one of them cartwheel, just so I know which one is. These are all background images, and that one's going to be cartwheel. And then the fonts, F1, F2, F3. Do I need anything else? Probably not. Remember also, I talked about this in the other video, but function preload, if I can spell it right. I actually did a test, and when I preloaded that LED font in the preload, it worked. It didn't like take a second to load. So I may consider loading fonts in the preload too. But right now I'm just going to load the songs. S1 equals load sound. All right, where am I? African. I'll have to remember. That this is the African music. I mean, I'm at this point I may want to call it African, and then I'd have to change it up there. But you can do either way. You can do it that way. S2, S3. The second one was maybe funk. Well, the first, yeah, punk. Ah, they kind of rhyme. Funk. And then in this setup, that's where I'm going to load all the images and the fonts. So I1, I2, I3, and Cartwheel, F1, F2, F3. You can do this using arrays too, if you know how to do that. But I'm going to do these all like this for right now. F1 equals load font. And my font was fugaz.ttf. So here's where I could really make a mistake, right? Arrow, like I just copied that line. That's kind of cool. Fugaz and LED are TTFs, but arrow is an OTF. See that? So I've got to make sure that I have OTF there. And if one of them doesn't work, I promise you spelled it wrong. And you can send your URL to me. You can just make sure you save it every so often, and then you can send that to me in a text, and I'll tell you what you spelled wrong. Those are my fonts, and now my images. I1 equals load image. So it's a lot of typing. Just so you know, you can call these images whatever you want. Sometimes it's easier to call them what their name, kind of close to what their file name is. Okay. So the second one was pkids. So me and Gamela is a JPEG. Pkids is a PNG. And what was the next one? Bread is a PNG. Okay, I've got all my stuff loaded. Here's my loading of songs. Here's my loading of fonts. Here's my loading of images. Now I'm going to try to put them in here. So in case 0, we're going to try image. How am I going to place my images again? Let me get my red rectangle again. Do I want to place them from the center and place them at width over 2, height over 2? Or do I want to place them from the top left-hand corner and put them all at 0? Since my images may not all be the same aspect ratio as, oh wow, that's right. I wanted to make this 800 by 600 too, right? 800. Since they may not all be the same aspect ratio, I think what I'm going to decide to do is place them all from the center and put them in the center. So I'm going to do image mode center. This is the type of thing that you just might change. You may actually change it later on, you'll see. So since I've got image mode center now, what's my first image was I1. That makes it easy. I1, comma, all right, so since I've got image mode center, I'm sticking the center at width over 2, height over 2. And I probably want it to be the same width as the screen, maybe, depending on if it's wider than the screen. This will be how wide the image is. I'm going to leave that off for right now. Okay, got a background of red, and I got my first image. When I click, I get that next background, and I click the next background. I think what we can do is put our images in first. I don't really care if I have the background, but yeah, actually, I3. Let's see if our images go. Click, 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 click. That's kind of neat. I like it. I think I like it. I don't like this red background, so I might change it. Please change these things. I'll probably change it to a black background. Pretty good so far. Now you have to decide what text you're going to use, and this might take you a little while, right? You may not be sure what you're going to write. For me, I already thought about what I was writing for my first one, so I'm going to plug it in here. I'm going to put my text after my image. When you do tidy code, it's been formatting the text commands like that, and I don't know if I like it so much. I guess it's kind of easy to read, right? That's my X location of my text, and that's my Y location of my text. I guess that's kind of cool. But if you don't like it, yeah, I don't know. If you don't like it, you can do this to it. But anytime you hit tidy code again, it's gonna reformat it. So maybe there's a thing that can be changed. This is Portuguese code, and it means you can look it up what it means. It's a thing that goes along with the picture. Also, now the things that you can do, the text we talked about already too. So text size, I may do 32 for this one. And I want to have oh, actually I want to have a different text font too. So I'm going to do Arrow for this one. And actually I can do text font here. And I can do Arrow, what did I call it? Oh, I called it F1. So the text font command, you can just do a font, or you can have the size of it also, knowing from now on that all the rest of my text is going to be 32 and be that same font. I kind of like it. You can use a couple of different fonts. Maybe I'll have a 64 here, and I'll just write text. I'll write text Capoeira Angola, and I'll put it at 100, 100 for right now. It's up here and it's black, so I can't see it. Alrighty. Lastly, a song. Your songs. This is going to be an interesting thing. Song's a little bit different. I want song one playing in here, and you remember we have to have, if not song one is playing, then we can play S1 play. You're going to want one of these in every one of your states. I'm going to see if this plays now. A lot of times I stop, I save, and then I start playing. Yeah. So it's cool. It doesn't sound like there's 100 of them playing, but it's never going to stop. Somewhere inside here, we're also going to have to stop all of the songs, because we know every time the mouse gets clicked, we'll know that we want to stop the songs and do a different song. So S1 pause, S2 pause, S3 pause. Now you can copy your songs. And you can copy, make sure that you copy before the break in each of these cases. And S1, S2, S3. I'm going to hit tidy code again, and it's going to mess up my text commands, but I'll have to deal with that. Make sure this works. So you guys can hear. Okay, this is pretty much a skeleton of what you need. You're going to have to put more text on the other states, but I think you get a picture of how to finish this now. Please contact me if you have any problems at all with this. I can debug things very, very quickly, so you don't have to spend lots of time debugging. Spend more time thinking about what you want to say. A lot of times it's harder to figure out how to design and what you want to say than it is to program. And I'll see you in the next video.